honor such Jewish people. And we reject the idea that the people of Einstein and Marx and Epstein should be represented by Sharon, by Netanyahu, and by Lieberman. And neither am I going to be, even though my name is George, seeking to recolonize the United States of America. I'm mindful, more than you can imagine, of the fact that my own country was the architect, was the author of this great tragedy. In the building in which I have sat for 23 years, I have to pass every day the room in which a British statesman, Mr. Balfour, in 1917, promised on behalf of one people to a second people, who, by the way, were every one of them, every one of these Zionist leaders was an atheist. They laid no biblical claim to the land then. They were ready then to make their European settler state, their colonial state, in any place in the world they could get their hands on. They negotiated for their state to be in Uganda, in Patagonia, in the Seychelles. None of them claimed that God was an estate agent and had promised them the land of Palestine then. That came later. Mr. Balfour promising a second people who didn't represent the majority, in fact represented a tiny minority of Jews in the world at that time. Land which belonged to a third people, even by the standards of imperialism. This was a brazen act. Britain gave away a land which it did not yet even possess to another people. At that time, 1/5 of the world's area, 1/4 of the world's population was governed from that little building in my little country. 1/4 of all the world. Britain had an empire, it was said, so vast that upon it the sun never set. Though, as my Irish grandfather used to say, that's because God would never trust the British in the dark. This act by Balfour, who, by the way, didn't do this out of love for the Jews. Balfour actually hated Jews. He was an anti-Semite. He wanted the Jews to leave England so he would never have to look on their faces again. You don't have to love Jews to be a Zionist. Most Zionists are not Jews. In the United States of America, the vast majority of Zionists are not Jews. They're crazed, fundamentalist Christians. Although real Christians believe in the prophets, peace be upon them, most of those believe in the prophets and how to get a piece of them. That's a major difference. Anybody who thinks George W. Bush loved Jews has never visited his golf club down in Texas. Balfour gave this promise because he wanted what he called a loyal little Ulster, like the north of Ireland. He wanted to implant a colonial enterprise to keep the Arabs divided and weak, the better, so that imperialism could steal their things. That's why they did it. It wasn't about religion, and we must never make it about religion. We say we demand the land back. We demand the land back, and we demand the right of the people to return to the land. And as Rami said in his wonderful poem earlier, we're not threatening to push anyone into the sea. Jews, Muslims and Christians can live on the land but only as equal citizens before the law, and not as superior citizens. You know, anytime now, Mr. Lieberman will be arriving here. Hillary Clinton will have to kiss him. Who is this Lieberman? Avigdor Lieberman, the foreign minister of Israel, intends to make every non-Jewish citizen of Israel passport holders, to sign an oath accepting that Israel is a Jewish state. Can you imagine black Americans being asked to sign an oath that America is a white state? It's a preposterous idea, to borrow a word from that video. It's an obscene idea. Even the grand wizards of the Ku Klux Klan wouldn't dare to advance such a proposition. And yet that's the basis on which Lieberman was elected and is now the foreign minister of Israel. And when he comes here, a red carpet will be rolled out for this racist murderer, whilst the elected leadership of the Palestinian people are called terrorists, and people are given a license to hunt them down and, if possible, to kill them. This is the monstrosity of this picture. This is the insult which is added to the injury of having lost their land, being scattered around the world. The Palestinians, as the victims of terrorism, are called the terrorists, and Israel, which is the terrorist, are called the victims of terrorism. This is a perversion of the English language itself. When I was a young man, when I first entered this great cause, I believed that I would one day walk in free Palestine. Now I'm not so sure. But mashallah, I have a 2-year-old son, Zainuddin George Galloway, and I'm sure that he will walk in free Palestine. I'm sure that he will see Palestine free. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize if we didn't get to your question. My past experience is that some of you will want to have a picture with me. That's why my Scottish friend here, who is very tough, he's a boxer too. And because he's Scottish, he's very good with money. He's going to stand at the bottom of those stairs.
Good eyes too.
And if you want a picture with me, you have to give him $20 for Viva Palestina, USA. I hope that this is the beginning. Mr.
That's
Churchill.
too cheap. One is too cheap. 1,000.
No, 20. No, 20. If we get hundreds of 20s, then we've done well. I've also got the Viva Palestina CD on sale for $15, which contains some fabulous tracks made by British supporters of Palestine, and which we need to sell here tonight, or I'll have to carry them all the way back to London, and I've already got enough luggage. So please buy them all. T-shirts will soon be here in New York, bearing the American Constitution in the colors of the Palestinian flag, that we believe that all men are created equal, and we believe that all men and women have the right to liberty and life and the pursuit of happiness, including Palestinian men and women. And when they arrive, I hope you'll buy them too. As Mr. Churchill would say, this is not the beginning of the end. This is merely the end of the beginning. I'll be back here next month, God willing. I hope to meet many of you again, and I'll see you in Gaza on the 4th of July.